Let me ask you a serious question. Do you believe in miracles? You ever seen something that was so crazy and you're like, man, how the hell did that happen? How the hell did that person do that? And I'm not talking about hitting a lucky shot. I'm talking about someone curing a crazy terminal illness or something like crazy where it's like, yo, how did that happen? I do. I believe every cause has an effect. And I believe that that's the only way that everything makes sense. Every cause has an effect. Every effect has to have a cause, you know? So this book review is special because we're going to be reviewing my favorite personal development, self-help book, whatever you want to call it, of all time. More Than Law of Success, more than, Think and Grow Rich, all the other books. I love Becoming Supernatural because it dives into the metaphysical and the quantum physics of things. Like it gets as deep as you can get. Like I say in all my book reviews, I like doing a book review of a person who's actually done the damn thing. Okay. The author of this book is a gentleman by the name of Dr. Joe Dispenza. So Joe Dispenza was a chiropractor. He was like a yogi. He was really into like exercising and doing triathlons. And how he stumbled upon this kind of stuff that we're going to be going over here is a miracle. So he was doing a triathlon. And he was riding his bike and he got hit by a car going 55 miles an hour and broke his back, like literally broke his spine. He was never supposed to walk again. The doctors were telling him to get this surgery. I forget what it's called. But given that he liked to do yoga, he knew that by getting all these rods and screws in his back, it would restrict his movement for the rest of his life and hinder him from doing something he was passionate about. So he literally healed his back with his mind. And 6 weeks later, he was back on his bike. 12 weeks later, he was back lifting weights and doing triathlons again. That's unheard of. And he said if he could do this, which he did, he would dedicate his life to studying these kinds of things and teaching other people how to do it. Like, man, there's stories of people going to his seminars with brain tumors, stage 4 cancer, paralyzed from the neck down, and they're leaving cured and standing up from wheelchairs. Like crazy shit, like miracles. I'm gonna tag, if you click the link in the description, I'm gonna tag a few videos, of some things that he talks about that you should definitely listen to. And I definitely recommend this book. Like, I'm not even gonna wait to the end to give it a rating. This is 100 out of 10. Like, everyone in the world should read this book. Okay. So, as you guys know, I've been reading a book a week since about 2015. And I like to compare reading a book to gold mining. Each book has a few gold nuggets. I like to go and extract those nuggets, write them down so I can refer back to them later. So I'm going to be going over the nuggets that I got from Becoming Supernatural. And before we get into it, I know I normally have, the white wall in the background, but I'm actually be using this tapestry as a reference, and you'll see why. So let's get right into it. By consciously slowing your brain waves down, you can more readily program the autonomic nervous system. As you become pure consciousness, pure awareness, and change your brain waves from beta to alpha or theta, the autonomic nervous system, which knows how to heal your body much better than your conscious mind does, steps in and finally has an opportunity to clean house. So basically what he's saying is, I'm actually going to use this as a reference right now. So we have these energy centers in our body called chakras. And I'm not trying to get all woo-woo on you, but each of these energy points is associated with a different emotion/mood. So when he's saying you need to slow your brain waves down to heal, what he's saying is we mostly operate in survival mode. AKA, most of our energy is being stored in our lower 3 chakras. So the red is the root chakra, and that's associated with stability, having a roof over your head, how my bill's gonna get paid, this and this. The second chakra from the bottom is associated with sex and procreation. How often are you horny? Not trying to get weird. It makes sense why we think about sex or procreation a lot, because if we didn't, to a certain extent, I'm not saying just think about it all the time and not be disciplined, but sex has to be the strongest emotion, because if it wasn't, we would die off as a species. Like, sex is the instrument that nature uses to perpetuate life, okay? And then the third chakra from the bottom is associated with eating. So how often are we thinking about how we're going to get our bills paid, when we're going to get the next fling, and when we're going to get something to eat? So if our energy is always stored there, our energy's not in our heart, in our throat, and our third eye and our crown chakra, which are associated with, being creative. So he's saying you want to slow your brain waves down so you can get that energy circulating in those other areas. That way, your body can start to heal. Not only that, you're vibrating at a higher frequency and you're better able to start manifesting things. Let's go on to the next point. When you no longer observe pain, your routine life and your problems, they will turn back into energy, into an infinite number of possibilities. Only once you are truly present in this potent place beyond this space and time, the place from where all things naturally come, you can begin to create real change. So basically, this space beyond the space he's talking about, where everything exists, it's like matter and energy. Like everything in the seen world came from the unseen. So this book, this house, this bracelet I'm wearing, this shirt, these earrings, this notebook, my phone, it all started as a thought energy. It all started in someone's mind before it can become, physical. And, physical is a myth anyway. Like they say we are all one. Everything's made of the same thing, matter and energy. So if you want to go to where things, ultimate creation is, you have to slow your brain waves down because matter and density vibrates at a very, very low frequency. Next point. When your 3 survival centers become overstimulated, there's not much available energy for growth, repair, healing, creation, or even just returning to balance. Kind of already touched on that at the beginning. There are infinite combination of gene variations that can be expressed in latent genes. The heart produces the strongest magnetic field in the body, 5,000 times greater than the brain. Fun fact, did you know that when we're born, everything comes from our heart? Like our heart is the first physical piece of us that starts to develop in our mother's stomach. Everything grows out of the heart. So it makes sense why our heart has the largest electromagnetic field, or a larger electromagnetic field than the brain. So it's like sometimes when I'm trying to make a decision, we always think like, oh, let me think about it. Like, no, what do you feel about it? Sometimes try to ask your body things. We have this brain to help us come up with things, but our heart has its own reasoning faculty as well. Moving on. If you can disorient people with information, or in today's world, disinformation, shock, or confusion, you just open the door to programming the subconscious mind. The more suggestible you are, the less analytical you are. As your brain waves slow down and you get beyond your analytical mind, your brain moves into trance and you're more suggestible to information. So when they say, shock or confusion, that's why you see these ads like, oh, did you know by drinking this, it can, decrease your lifespan by this. I know it's a bad example, but you know what I mean. So it's like, oh man, when you're shocked, you kind of let your mental guard down and it's easier for you to be programmed. Other situations that increase suggestibility include shock, trauma, or strong emotional reaction. When people are stunned or exposed to emotionally charged situations, it's common that the brain goes into an altered state. Just touched on that. In the evening, we're most suggestible to programming because melatonin levels rise in response to darkness, and melatonin causes our brain waves to slow down in preparation for sleeping and dreaming. When we take our attention off of people and things in certain places in our external world, no longer placing our attention on our body and ceasing to think about time and schedules, we become nobody, no one, no thing, nowhere. If our 3D world is a dimension of matter where there's more space than time, the quantum world is a dimension antimatter, a place where there's more time than space. Because there's more time than space, all possibilities exist in the external present moment. Whereas the 3D world is our universe, meaning one reality, the quantum world is a multiverse, meaning many realities. If the space-time reality is based on separation, then the immaterial quantum world, or unified field, is based on oneness, connectedness, wholeness, and unity. Next point. As we move our attention away from the outer world and toward the inner world into the present moment, our consciousness aligns with its consciousness. Now we are present with it. As we surrender deeper into the unified field, as a consciousness, we experience less separation between 2 points of consciousness. Then there's no space and time, but all times and all spaces. Therefore, the more whole we feel and the less lack we experience, the more we feel like our future has already happened now, and we're no longer creating from duality, but from oneness. Because matter vibrates at such a slow frequency, to enter time, space, dimension, or the unified field, you can't enter as a body or matter. You must become nobody. How? Keep placing your attention on the unified field, not with your senses, but with your awareness. The greater the frequency you experience, the shorter amount of time it takes to unfold in this 3D space reality. Whew, I know that was a lot, but I kind of touched on all that. You know, when you connect to the unified field, to where everything exists, you're connected to anything, to everything, because that's where everything comes from. So you're creating from a state of oneness, not a state from duality, meaning I don't have this, I want this. It's I am this. As adrenal cortisol levels go up, melatonin levels go down. This is why we can't sleep under stress. So when we're stressed out, given that we have this old reptilian primitive brain, you know, back in the days, our ancestors, when they heard a bush rattle, they didn't know if it was a tiger in the bush. So our brain, in order to warn us, would release cortisol into our blood and stimulate fight or flight. You know, all our blood would go away from our internal organs and it would go to our arms and legs and prepare us to either fight or run away. So yeah, the best way to get rid of that is to like take some deep breaths. And, you know, me and my girlfriend have a rule that we don't go to bed angry. Lastly, the pineal gland is a neural endocrine, if I said that right, transducer capable of receiving and converting signals within the brain. So basically, it's a whole chapter in here on the pineal gland. And he talks about the pineal gland as being a crystal that's charged. And I'm actually go to it. So he likens the pineal gland to an antenna. Oh, is this one over here? So I definitely recommend reading this book because it's a meditation he talks about in here. It kind of goes into that whole adage of like having a non-ejaculatory orgasm. So like if you ask a woman to describe an orgasm, they'll say, or they won't say this, but a lot of women have said this. It's like dropping a drop of water on a napkin and just letting that drop cover the whole napkin. And given that we have porn and guys normally start watching porn when they're young and they're trained to, you know, essentially ejaculate, we think that's the right way to finish when it's actually not. We can have the same kind of orgasms that a woman has, an implosion versus an explosion. And when you essentially bust a nut, it's like your body saying, hey, he's about to create a new life. Let's give away our best enzymes and proteins and nutrients. It's literally like taking 3 full course meals and just throwing it down the trash. Like you're wasting your vital energy. So through doing this meditation, pretty much without getting weird, squeezing the muscle like your what do they call it? Kegel for a girl. For a guy, it's the muscle that makes, you know, your junk go up and down. You're essentially squeezing the cerebral spinal fluid up to your pineal gland, right? And you get that energy that's always stored in our 3 bottom chakra points, and you send it to your pineal gland, and it acts as an antenna, connecting you to all that there is, connecting you to the quantum realm. Okay. And he has a whole meditation in here on how to do it, like you're breathing with it. And you do the same thing when you're having when you're having sex pretty much. And it gets you closer to your partner. And when you have an orgasm up your spine versus having an explosion, you revitalize your internal organs and you don't feel that feeling of, tiredness, like you want to go to sleep. And also, guys, I don't care how much you love your girl. If you're having sex with them and then you bust a nut, no matter what, even if it's Beyonce or whoever it is, you're a little less attracted to them and you want a little bit of space. Maybe not every time, but 99% of the time. But having a non-ejaculatory orgasm, not only is it better for you, not only does it feel better, not only does it help it last longer, but it helps you connect with your partner more. So it's really important to practice this stuff. And busting all these nuts is part of the reason why women live longer than men. So, this book is like really, really good. That's the end of the notes. I just wanted to kind of go over that part with you here. And he has like different seminars where he'll hook people's bodies up to different things and track their frequencies. And he'll track their frequency like before and after meditations. And like, look at how the vibration increases. If you need a miracle, whether if you have cancer or you have a brain tumor or you're paralyzed or you want to make more money or you're looking for your dream partner or your dream job or whatever the case may be, this book will help you. Like, I read my notes on this book weekly because it's so key. And the meditations that I've gotten from this book and the effects that they have, you can't put a price on it. So Yeah, definitely recommend this book. 100 out of 10. Let me know what book you want me to review next. You know, if you got value from this video, which I know you have, consider hitting that like button, subscribe, comment, and let me know what book you want me to review next. But with that, I thank you so much. I love all of you. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you in the next video.